Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. I definitely appreciate all the comments and everybody's perspective on the different videos I've been making. Like I said before, I'm using AI to tell the story, but it's definitely something that I'm going through currently. And I like to put these videos out there to help people and to get feedback from my viewers for their stories and different perspectives of how they're handling their gang stalking slash hacker situation. And in this video, we talk about different ways that we can take our mind off of the gang stalkers by basically doing grounding techniques and channeling that energy into other aspects of our character. So for me, I use these videos to, instead of keeping things bottled up inside, to put them out there for the world to see. And also I have other things that I do, like working out and doing other creative activities throughout the week. So please comment, like, and subscribe, and share this video if you think it can help with somebody's journey.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic, a really challenging one that many of you have asked about. How do you reclaim your mental space?
hmm
How do you find some calm when you're faced with intensely distressing experiences? We're talking about that feeling, that hypervigilance, always being on guard,
Yeah.
especially when dealing with the huge stress of something like feeling targeted or what people call gang stalking. It's really about regaining control of your inner world, isn't it? No matter what seems to be happening outside.
Exactly. And our source material today, detaching from trauma, grounding techniques for mental resilience, it draws on a lot of research, trauma recovery, mental health strategies. So the mission for this deep dive really is to give you some effective research-backed techniques,
Hmm.
tools to ground yourself, interrupt that distress when it surges, and ultimately help you choose where your attention goes to build that sort of inner sanctuary.
Okay, let's really get into this then. When your mind feels totally overwhelmed,
Mm,
those thoughts may be feeling watched or targeted. They just won't stop. The world outside feels, I don't know, unpredictable, maybe even threatening. How do you even begin to pull your focus back from that?
mm.
Our source starts with this foundational idea, reclaiming cognitive control,
Right.
consciously redirecting those obsessive thoughts, the ones that feel like they're just on repeat.
Well, what's really fascinating here, and I think hopeful, is that the mind isn't just, passively taking all this in. It can absolutely be trained.
Hmm.
So when you're in that state, that heightened anxiety, hypervigilance, maybe feeling that intense scrutiny, there are techniques designed specifically to anchor you in the present. And they're not just distractions.
Okay.
They're like deliberate sensory overrides. They actively reroute neural pathways, in
Mhm.
your prefrontal cortex. It helps quiet down the amygdala's alarm bells, the part of the brain triggering that constant on alert feeling. It's like short-circuiting the threat system for a moment.
Short-circuiting. I like that framing. So one classic example from the source is the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It seems simple on the surface.
Yeah, it does.
You identify 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Now, for someone dealing with really profound stress, like feeling targeted, does its simplicity maybe feel, I don't know, inadequate? Or is that basic nature the actual key?
That's a really good question. And it's critical. Its basic nature is exactly its strength. Like the research points out, this technique forces your attention, like right now, onto your immediate surroundings. It's a direct interruption. It breaks that thought loop causing the distress, pulls your mind out of the past worries or future
Right
fears.
into the here and now.
Exactly. Back to tangible reality, which is precisely what you need when your mind is spinning with these maybe abstract fears or perceived threats. It doesn't demand complex thought, just present moment awareness.
Okay. And what about those times when the mind just clings to a narrative? Replaying scenarios, imagining threats, those rumination cycles. The source suggests these mental category games, like listing dog breeds or countries. It sounds almost, well, a bit simplistic again.
Yeah, it can sound that way. But rumination cycles, they're these relentless loops, right?
Yeah.
Often negative, your mind gets stuck replaying worries, getting nowhere. So these games, as noted in the research, they actively redirect those obsessive thoughts. They engage a different part of your brain, a more analytical part. It's a deliberate shift. You're moving from that involuntary spinning
Hmm.
to a chosen mental task. And that small act, it gives you back that critical sense of control over your own thoughts. It proves to yourself, hey, I can decide where my attention goes.
Okay, so we've talked about the mind redirecting thoughts, but what if your body is still, buzzing with anxiety, still keyed up from feeling watched or unsafe?
Yeah.
It seems like our physical self can be a really powerful ally in grounding us, especially with something so disorienting.
Oh, absolutely. And connecting this to the bigger picture, trauma, or even just prolonged stress, like the kind associated with perceived stalking, it often causes this subtle disconnect. Mind from body. It's what we call dissociation, that feeling of being detached, maybe from your body, your emotions, or even reality.
Right.
So, re engaging your physical senses is a very direct, almost primal way to interrupt that feeling, to pull you back into the present moment, using your physical experience to kind of reestablish a sense of safety right now.
The source mentioned something called temperature shock. Sounds a bit intense,
Yeah, it does sound dramatic.
but it's actually simple,
Yeah.
right? Holding ice cubes, splashing cold water on your face. But I wonder, for some people, that initial shock might feel really unpleasant. Does the source talk about easing into it?
That's a fair point. The initial jolt is part of its power, actually. Research highlights how this directly activates the vagus nerve. Think of the vagus nerve like a superhighway for calm in your body. When it gets that sudden cold signal, it immediately tells your brain to shift gears out of fight or flight into rest and digest.
Oh,
So it's a really powerful, almost instant physiological reset for your nervous system. Helps pull you out of that hyper alert state. The discomfort is brief, but the nervous system regulation is immediate. And yes, you can absolutely start small. Maybe a cold cloth on your wrists first, see how that feels. Then maybe try the face splash later.
That's a good practical tip. Another one is tactile grounding, keeping a textured object nearby, like a smooth stone or a stress ball. And when you feel anxious, you focus on it. Describe its weight, its surface, maybe even aloud.
Yeah, exactly. Therapist resources suggest this is a powerful way to use touch to anchor yourself. And the act of describing it, that engages both your senses and your cognitive process. So it's like a double whammy for grounding. You're not just feeling it, you're actively observing and putting words to it, which really helps pull your attention away from those internal distress narratives.
These in-the-moment resets, they sound like really useful circuit breakers. But to truly reclaim that mental landscape long-term, the source talks about building something more enduring, establishing emotional boundaries, building protective routines.
Right.
How does that work? It's not about just ignoring feelings, right? That seems unhealthy.
No, definitely not ignoring. That's about how you choose to engage with those feelings, especially when they're intense and distressing. That's the critical distinction. It raises a really important question. How do you acknowledge a difficult thought, like, I feel watched, without letting it just totally take over?
Yeah.
The source points to something called compassionate detachment. It's a key skill here.
Compassionate detachment.
Yeah, it's the skill of acknowledging a distressing thought or feeling, giving it space, but without letting it hijack your emotional state or monopolize your attention. Imagine watching a cloud pass by in the sky. You see it, you acknowledge it, but you don't try to grab onto it and fly away with it. It's a kind of nuanced self-preservation.
Okay, so the source describes it as like acknowledging the thought internally. Okay, I notice I'm feeling watched right now, but then consciously not engaging it further. Visualizing placing it in a locked box temporarily, giving yourself permission to set it aside. Is there a risk, though, of becoming too detached, of suppressing valid feelings?
That's a really important point about balance. The key isn't suppression, it's about choice and timing. You're recognizing the thought's presence, you're not invalidating your experience at all, but you are asserting your choice not to get tangled up in it right now. You give yourself permission to put it aside, maybe deal with it later when you feel more resourced, or simply observe it without letting it spiral. It's about managing your internal reaction, not denying external reality.
Got it. And then there's the digital world. We're so connected, triggers can be everywhere. The source brings up digital minimalism,
Yes.
limiting social media, maybe having tech-free hours, disabling those constant notifications.
Well, as research points out, this is a very direct way to lower those hypervigilance triggers.
Yeah.
Think about it. Many distressing experiences, including that feeling of being watched or monitored, can feel amplified by constant digital alerts. That ping can almost mimic surveillance.
Yeah, I could see that.
So creating deliberate digital boundaries, it can significantly lower that background level of stress. It actively disrupts that feeling of being constantly on.
Makes sense. So this deep dive isn't just about reacting in the moment. It's also proactive, building protective routines, creating stability when the world feels unstable. What does that look like?
Yeah. Routines create predictability. And predictability acts as a powerful psychological anchor, especially when your external environment feels chaotic or threatening. Consistency actually trains your nervous system. It builds pathways for calm and predictability. You're deliberately laying down tracks for peace, which is so vital when you're under ongoing intense stress.
So specific examples, morning and evening anchoring, like starting and ending the day with 5 minutes of box breathing. That's what, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6.
Exactly, and research backs this up strongly. Structured breathing, like box breathing, directly calms the nervous system. It can set a mindful, grounded tone for your day, kind of preparing you. Or at night, it helps you wind down, release that built-up tension and hyper-alertness that comes from feeling under pressure all day.
And beyond breathing, movement rituals, like yoga, or even just walking while consciously counting steps to break those rumination cycles we talked about.
Yeah, positive psychology research highlights how movement, especially combined with a repetitive focus like counting steps, gives you a dual benefit. It's a physical distraction, yes, but also a physical outlet for that nervous energy. By deliberately engaging your body and mind in something rhythmic and repetitive, you're actively stopping your mind from getting stuck in those negative loops. You're giving it a different job to do.
Okay, this is all incredibly helpful. Real tools for managing the internal state. But we have to address the bigger picture too. What if the threats feel very real, immediate? What if it's not just a feeling, but seems like a genuine reality of being targeted?
Absolutely crucial point, and the source is very clear on this. It's paramount. Safety first. If threats feel physical, if you feel you are in danger, the advice is clear. Contact law enforcement, and do it with documented evidence if possible, timestamps, recordings, logs. These grounding techniques are vital for managing your internal world, for building resilience. They are not a substitute for necessary external safety measures. Physical safety has to come first, period.
Right, okay. And what about professional support? For someone experiencing something as extreme as feeling they're subject to gang stalking, when is it time to reach out to a therapist?
This is such a critical piece. Research cited in the source found that a very high percentage, like 87% of individuals reporting experiences like gang stalking, also share signs of trauma-related dissociation. That statistic alone shows the profound mental impact.
Wow, 87%?
Yeah. So therapy specifically designed for trauma is often recommended. Things like EMDR, that's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing it, helps process distressing memories, or somatic experiencing, which focuses on releasing trauma held in the body's nervous system by tracking physical sensations. Both are mentioned as being particularly effective for rebuilding that internal sense of safety and integrating these incredibly difficult experiences. Professional guidance offers targeted tools, validation, and support that goes way beyond self-help.
And the source also emphasizes community connection. If you're feeling isolated, which must be so common in these situations, joining groups focused on other things, hobbies, volunteering things not related to stalking, to reinforce your identity beyond just feeling like a target.
Yes, exactly. Psychology research confirms that isolation just makes distress worse, significantly worse. Connecting with others through shared interests, meaningful activities, it helps rebuild those crucial social support systems. And it reminds you of all the other parts of who you are, other facets of your identity. That's incredibly healing. It counteracts that feeling of being defined solely by the distressing experience.
Before we wrap up, there's a powerful quote in our source from Dr. Sarah Gupta, a trauma specialist. She says, "Grounding isn't about dismissing your experience. It's about reclaiming your capacity to choose where your attention goes. The present moment is where your power lives."
That just encapsulates everything so well, doesn't it? It's not about pretending bad things aren't happening or that the feelings of being targeted aren't valid or real. It's about empowering yourself to decide how you respond internally. It's about reclaiming your agency, your inner space, even when external pressures feel immense. Cultivating that calm center.
So for an immediate, practical step right now,
Yeah.
something you listening can try when you feel overwhelmed. The source suggests the 90-second reset. It's really simple. Stamp your feet 3 times. Name 3 objects you can see right now, and then hum a calming tune for a few seconds.
It sounds almost ridiculously simple, but that action directly disrupts panic lips. It engages multiple brain regions, sensory processing, cognitive naming, even the auditory motor act of humming. It gives your nervous system a quick, active task to shift gears. And the key, as the source stresses, is consistency. Doing it regularly trains your nervous system. It learns to access calm faster, more efficiently over time. You're building that neural pathway for peace.
So this deep dive, I feel, has really shown us that even when facing immense pressure, even dealing with something as deeply unsettling as feeling targeted, you do have the capacity to reclaim your mental landscape. The techniques vary, sure, But the core principle is consistent,
Yeah.
empowering you to choose where your attention rests, how you engage with your inner world.
Exactly. It's about building resilience step by step, one conscious choice at a time. The real power isn't just knowing these techniques exist, it's in consistently applying them. Literally creating new neural pathways for calm and control inside your own mind and body. It's a profound act of self-preservation and empowerment.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've explored some really practical tools to detach from those distressing thoughts, ground yourself firmly in the present moment, offering a pathway toward mental resilience.
Think of it like cultivating an inner sanctuary, a space inside you that no external force can truly invade. It's a space you build, you protect brick by conscious brick.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's leave you with a provocative thought. If your present moment is truly where your power lives, what one small, consistent action will you commit to today, right now, to deliberately plant yourself firmly in that power and begin cultivating your own inner sanctuary?